Yo.
2 points last game.
What was that?
Tucker Pullman, 2 points last game.
No kidding.
My man.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
I think what you meant to say is world beater.
World beater.
World beater.
I don't think he is, but you know what? I'll let you play around with that idea. I will. Hey, everybody. It's Friday. We've had a busy week. This is the PP1 Podcast, clearly. We're just hanging out an hour before puck drop because that's what you do on a Friday after an insanely busy week. You talk Canucks hockey before you're let down by Canucks hockey. So we're probably, you know what I mean?
I got you. That's smart.
This is how it works. So we're proudly presented on the Blundell Network. It's a gong show over here, and we're gonna get into it. You can see that little black square up in the corner. We're gonna get into that little piece of business. Manscaped decided to come for a ride for a month with us, so make sure you guys do a little bit of this, a little bit of that with Manscaped. We're going to put this out. My mouse is not working, or what's this thing called?
Like a trackpad?
Trackpad. Go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code PP20 for 20% off. Now, we're going to get into something about that because apparently there's a little bit of Black Friday business, so you'll get a better discount. But if you go in, we'll send a link. If you go in from the link we send, and then you put in whatever the 25% code is, you're going to get in on that action. Now, I think that starts on Monday, but still, if like you just need to get that Manscaped action before, that's your call.
Is that Cyber Monday, or is that?
It's Cyber Monday.
Is that the one after Black Friday, or is that the one before?
No. Yeah, I guess Black Friday would be the first one, then Cyber Monday, but maybe they reverse them. When you live in Canada, like I don't know.
Or is it Cyber Sunday, or is it Monster Truck Monday?
Sunday. That's Monster Truck.
Monster Truck
they never
Sunday.
Do that. Yeah. So that's anyway. We'll get into that a little bit later. I'm Ryan. Thanks for coming along, my mustached brother. It's been a while.
Oh, I did drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. I think it's coming in.
See, because you've got a dark mustache. Mine's like that light brown, so it doesn't show the same. Like I got a close up. I mean, clearly I got a lot more, but
yours is infinitely thicker than mine. Yeah,
I have like 4 years of growth, so I have you in that. But yours just comes in. You're like, hey, what's up? I have a mustache. Appreciate me.
Yeah, I think it's about 2 weeks, maybe a bit more.
Are you raising money?
Not this year, no. Okay. I just couldn't get organized enough this year, or else I would have did it. But
okay.
Other things are going on. Too much. I only have room for so much stuff in my brain these days.
That's true. That's okay, though. I mean, you're here to talk Canucks hockey. Like, what could be better? Yeah. What could be better than starting your weekend off by me holding you hostage here for 40 minutes to an hour when you could be with your family doing something a lot more fun than talking about the Vancouver
the family just left, so I'm all yours.
Oh, perfect. Nice. Okay, so this is by choice. I love it. So
you had a little thing this week. Hey, you're on CBC Radio, and you were also on, CBC Radio, and you also did Canucks Speakeasy, right?
I've had a busy 24 hours. I was on.
Yeah, you were like a podcast slut today.
Just like getting in that microphone action. I was on Speakeasy last night with Doug and Pete. Those guys are a blast. Yeah. I completed I saw. I think Brady tweeted the triangle, the Triforce from Zelda. So now they've completed that. So that's pretty cool. I might mail them some stickers because they're talking about stickers now that they've achieved that. Instead if they got anything from like Publishers Clearinghouse or something. So, they completed the set. Or no, Post Mills. Remember the stuff when you get
Post Mills, there was like when you join the Disney DVD club, you get good stickers there too, right?
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. So
you can't get any of the good Disney movies.
No, I had a great time. They were so much fun. We talked some coffee at the very end, so right up my alley. I probably spent another hour after that going on this guy's YouTube channel. James Hoffman is his name. Just reviews coffee stuff.
Coffee.
Yeah, it's perfect. I had to go to bed at some point, so that was a lot of fun. And then this morning I was on CBC Radio chatting about the Vancouver Canucks because that's all I know about. They didn't want to talk to me about climate change or what's going on in local politics or anything like that. They wanted to talk about simple things, simple things. And then they asked, "What's wrong with the Canucks?" And that's when it got tough because I only had
Like, where
I
do I
think
start?
I spoke in hypotheticals. I think so. That's right up my alley. But yeah, there's a lot going on bad with this team. Jim Benning had his press conference this week, and that went exactly like we thought. Basically said a lot of the things that we were expecting him to say, and which is basically like, we don't know what's going on, but we're going to figure it out. Yeah, you said that 8 years ago, and it's
Like,
still.
I actually don't know what the problem is, but I think we got a real good chance of figuring it out once we start trying to figure out what the problem is. He doesn't
And
know.
yeah, now I will give our very early on guest, David Quadrelli, mad props. If you haven't seen the question that he asked, like, this is going to go down as one of the legendary questions against Jim Benning. So, Jim, and I'm paraphrasing here, Jim, you talked about last year that you needed 2 more years to get this team competitive and back as a competing team. So now that we're a year in, has that changed? We only have 1 year left, and he basically like Mike dropped him. Jim's like, I don't have an answer for that. Like,
I mean, I'll tell you what you want to hear in the moment, but I have no, I hold no responsibility for what happens during that time.
oh, it
That's
just
what I hear when I hear nothing.
just dirty though, like absolute mic drop
Yeah,
material.
and good for Quads for asking the tough question, right? I mean, he went after him with that one. It was perfect.
Yeah, he just slam dunked it. So that was, I mean, that's one of those ones you do want an answer for. But at the same time, I get why Jim's trying to hold on to his job. I brought up on last night about on Speakeasy, just basically like it does. It starts at the top, right? Like we can get mad about the on ice product, but that's the end result. We can get mad at the coach, and then we can get mad at the GM. But it does start at Francesco Aquilini, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
it's
then,
it's this is a top down business. It's always been that way.
yeah, like we're mad at the result. We're mad at what we can see. But ultimately, we need to be mad at the guy that's basically forcing this in, like the directive. And then it gets a little bit more specific as it trickles down. I mean, specifics is the penalty kills, the power play is goal scoring. But, as you go up, it gets a little bit more general. So you go from coaching, and then it starts about systems. Above that is about the personnel and trading away draft picks and not keeping players and making sure what's going on. And then above that is basically saying, this is what I want to see happen. You guys need to be competitive. And yet they're not.
Bottom line here, whether you're a Benning supporter or not, I mean, it's his job to put a winning product together, and it's
I love
been
Minecraft. Hi.
it's been 8 years, and there's still no winning products, right? So I mean, I guess he's got a couple of get out of the jail free cards, right? I mean, he could fire the coach. That could be one. What does that buy him? Does that buy him another
Couple
year?
months.
I hope not.
Couple months, I think.
So
Tops.
I mean, and it just doesn't seem like there's lots of promises given out in the moment. You just talked about it 2 years ago, right? We're 2 years away from competing. We're almost there. 1 year left,
Mm-hmm.
and still, like, if you were so dead set in being able to live by it, then why can't we live by it now? So it feels like he's not taking a ton of responsibility for it.
None.
And I would too if I took responsibility for it. My job was on the line, so I wouldn't want to take responsibility for it either.
But now I guess, yeah, exactly. Like, well, I get fired if I tell the truth. And I think that's the hard part. I think all we really want to hear is the truth. Just say
Yeah,
you guys, but I've said this for, oh man, longer than 8 years before Benning, that's for sure.
like some Marcus Naslund truth.
That
I mean,
was
he
that
got
was one of
crucified a bit
those.
for that, but it was one of those respect for Naslund moments, right?
It was 100% when he said that. At first, I'm like, oh man, you can't say that. But at the same time, you're right. You respect him. You think, you know what? You said what we were thinking, and we were right, and you said we were going
We
to get better,
validated it.
and they did get better. They did get
They
better.
they did get better, and like, I think that's what people are asking for. I mean, it's been 8 years. I think we deserve some honesty.
I mean, a little bit of it, right? A little bit of it. So it's just so frustrating. Now we know things are going to be happening. Like things are getting pretty bad.
I
Their
mean, we thought things
PK,
were going to happen last year too, and it never happened. So should we be surprised if nothing happens?
no, I think
Just gonna throw that out there.
that's probably a fair comment. I think realistically, and I've been chatting about this for the last couple of days, everybody's wondering, like, is Green going to get fired? Is Benning going to get fired? Realistically, I think they're at a point where they need to have a sacrificial lamb, and I think it's going to be Travis Green after Sunday's game. Win or lose, I don't care if they win tonight and they win on Sunday. I think Travis Green, they could win both games, to be perfectly honest, and I think he's gone. That buys Benning. That buys Benning probably, I don't know. It probably buys him till after Christmas for sure. And then I think depending on what happens in the meantime, they're probably going to have to make a move of some sort. Like, it can't just be the coach, but they're going to have a trade of some sort, and it's going to be someone important. I don't think it's going to be in the Bo Horvats. It could be a JT Miller or Brock Besser. I think now that comes in there. Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft. Is it a good game?
It's like, I mean, you should probably finish your thought, but it's like,
yeah,
it's a lot like Lego, essentially.
Okay.
You can build
digital
whatever you
Lego.
want.
Digital
Yeah,
Lego.
I mean, digital Lego without a plan.
Oh, it's like the Canucks. It's digital Lego for Vancouver. Maybe there's a Minecraft Canucks game.
My kids only play in like create mode. They don't play in like story or like
That's
game
all you
mode
do.
or whatever. Yeah.
Anyway, back to my thought. Thank you for keeping me on track. I think that you're going to see a trade because that's also being rumored. You're going to see the coach gone. I don't know if Benning, I had a beer burp. I don't know if Benning is going to be gone this season for sure, but I think if it happens, it's for sure after Christmas, probably around the Olympic break or right before, so at least they can
have some time.
Because it's typical Canucks, right? They always like to make a splash before something happens, like at the draft or free. Like there's always something. Like they always have that thing. Every couple of years, they're like, "Guess what? We got some news for you."
Yeah, remember a year ago when I said we're 2 years away from competing? Our team's window is right now. I bet you didn't see me firing the coach and making a big trade.
Suckers!
Right before the Christmas Olympic break deadline. Hey,
Yeah,
total curveball. But don't worry. After that, we're gonna hit that goal of mine that I projected.
Yeah. What was that goal again? I'll get back to you on that.
I don't. I'm gonna pass on that question.
So the next thing is, what happens if they seriously start thinking about Benning getting the axe? Who takes over immediately? You know the answer to this. Tracy McGrady. Wisebroad.
Yeah, it's definitely T-Mac.
Like Wisebroad is the guy, right? Because there's no one else. It has to be someone on the inside.
It better not be.
But it better not be, but it will be.
If you're like, at some point you got to just make wholesale changes, right? Like, would it not make more sense to bring up Utica to manage interim? Because the current team is, I mean, unless you really think that the guy underneath is the solution, you have to remove the current team, period, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it's infected basically now, right?
Yeah.
Unless that's always been Wisebroad's MO was to slowly push old Jim out and end up taking his spot full time, right?
Well, that'd be really sneaky. That's sneaky.
Hey,
that's really sneaky.
Hey, Wormtongue was doing his thing in Lord of the Rings, right? I mean, he never let the king go. He was in his ear. Maybe he's Wormtongue in this scenario.
Maybe he's just playing the long game. Like, I will, if I just don't say anything, I'll be okay.
Joel's on here. Good Joel from Twitter. Good buddy of ours. Lots of chat back and forth. But Joel thinks Wisebroad goes too, and I agree, man. I think once you fire the GM, you don't take his constituents with him, right? Those got to leave as well. When you're clearing out the cabinet goes.
So, but I guess my question, Joel and Ted, is they make that move, then who steps up? Like, you have to have someone, or do they do it after the season when they've got time?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you start looking, and then if you happen to find a replacement that you think is good, then you make that move. And if not, then you have somebody that runs interim and knows it's an interim job.
Now, I hate to say it.
This might be crazy, but this could be a chance for Ryan Johnson to just step in and man the ship and know that nothing is for certain.
So
I
he
mean,
gets the promotion.
you know that he's got an assistant GM on the farm, right? I mean, he understands the players, the personnel, he gets the system, he understands how it works, and he's just a placeholder at that point to show, yes, I have the chops and I'm ready for this position, or I'm using this as a learning curve to add to my resume, knowing that I'm going back to Utica and I'm okay with that. Or they
No,
find somebody
Abbotsford.
Abbotsford, or they find somebody outside of the system that they can come in and fill the role and be a long-term answer, because nobody's going to want to take this job for a few months, right?
And
But
not
it
from the
makes sense for
outside.
an interim. Yeah,
And
exactly.
not from the
So
outside. Like, it's just
again,
toxic.
I don't know anything, right? But I mean, from a business standpoint, with many other businesses, that would make similar sense.
Yeah. I think you may be onto something there. So Ryan Johnson gets called up as the interim GM, which maybe takes the job potentially if, if things look good. So then you've
I
got
would
this.
think that Ryan Johnson has a lot to learn, in my opinion, but go ahead, keep going.
I mean, so did Jim Benning. I
And
mean,
look
he
where
was an
that got
assistant.
us.
He was an assistant GM. To be fair, like, we've always had the backup. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this would almost be par for the course. But then I don't know who the assistant GM is in Abbotsford, but I mean, if he's interim promoted, then essentially that'd mean like the Sedins are interim promoted in Abbotsford, so they could kind of learn on the job a little bit heavier, right? And then at least you've got a guy that has been making trades, a guy that has been, looking at talent, and he gets called up to the big club. You already know what you have in him, so it's not like you're not learning, you're not getting somebody that is out of the loop. He knows what's going on. He knows the personnel. He's played with some of them. Well, actually, that's not true. I don't think he's played with anybody on that team. Now that I think about it, but I think there needs to be something there. And I mean, I don't know if I buy in that it is a wholesale change. I think that's the ideal thing to
It
happen,
doesn't
though.
have to be. It doesn't have to be wholesale, but it has to be. It has to be your number one and your number two. Like,
Yeah.
I could see if you left, financing in place, if you left player contracts and negotiations in place, and you left salary cap management in place, all that makes sense. Those guys are specialists. They're there for a specific reason.
Yeah.
And then after the season, you reevaluate from there. But the two
Sure.
people at the top making decisions, you need to remove those people completely. And you have people in there that are placeholders
Hmm.
that are really not going to be making decisions. They're going to just be there making sure they don't burn the place down.
Right.
They're not in there to make huge changes. They're there to get you through the season properly. And then at that point, you reevaluate everything else.
Yeah. You make the big moves after. Makes sense. Makes sense. The penalty kill is dead last. They're 60%. By 5%. Like, with a bullet, they're last. The penalty kill. This used
Yeah,
to be one
it
of the
was
things.
it was an absolute, how do you say, piss missile for last place.
Yeah, like, just freaking rocket ship in there. Done. By 5%. Like, they are dead last. You can't kill this penalty kill because it's dead. It's over. How does it get that bad? And I know they're missing Sutter, and that's a big part. They've been missing Mott, which they just got back. But at the same time, like, come on,
Listen, man,
are
if
you really that bad?
if Mott, if Mott and other menial injuries are what's stopping you from winning and losing games, and your penalty kill being ranked last to not being ranked last, then you got way bigger problems than Mott's been injured.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, these are the things, like, it'll at least kind of bump it a little bit. Now, I will disagree with you. It hasn't been historically bad. It has been in the last 8 years, but not historically bad. They used to have a pretty killer PK, if I do remember.
They did have a good PK, but we're talking a completely different era now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm gonna play minor devil's advocate because it hasn't been historically bad, but
it has been historic.
historical.
Yeah, I mean, that's Joel saying that. It has been historically bad with this regime, though.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
And
1 point.
I mean,
You'll
how
get
far back into history do you want to go? Going back 8 years is pretty far.
Yeah, it is pretty far, isn't it? I've been back home for 9, so that tells a lot. So basically, as long as I've been back home in Kelowna here, the Canucks have been sucky. That's a long time. Sucky.
It's a long time, yeah. I mean,
That's a long time to suck.
We had the bubble run. That was a lot of fun. We had the Flames, the Calgary playoff. That wasn't that fun.
No, it was not. But hey, the positive signing is a few years later, after he was pretty basically done over with, we decided to go after Michael Furland because we felt we needed him. And again, no disrespect to him, but that was a bad signing.
It didn't work out. It could have worked out. I think all in all, I just try to leave that one alone
Sure.
in just because of Michael Furlan. But I know what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. Again, it was someone
The ghost of Michael Furlan.
yeah, I mean, and then Zach McEwen, and like, there's just we could just yell. Like I nicknamed this episode, we yell at about the Canucks for an hour. And I think
Yeah,
we
well,
haven't yelled, but we've been fair. We've been
we've
critical.
spent a lot of money on guys like Derek Dorsett and Furlan
Mm-hmm.
and Roussel,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's not the right way to be spending your money.
And Beagle, but
Well,
not
I
that
mean,
same
Beagle,
ilk. Not that ilk,
different.
but
I know what
yeah,
you're talking about, though. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
do we need to on Jim Benning's teams? There has to be a guy like that on your roster.
yeah, yeah. But there doesn't. But hey, what do I know? I'm just sitting on my ass on a couch talking
What do
about
we
a team
know?
that
No,
fails. Yeah,
what do we
not a
know?
whole lot. So they again, the penalty kill is basically 30 seconds until it's over. So that's kind of nice. At least they put us out of our misery early on every penalty. So that's good. So maybe their goal is like, well, if we get scored on, people will forget right away. We'll just work on the next one. It doesn't. We remember. There's statistics on a website that tell us that they track that stuff. So I don't like that. Now, the big thing today that I saw is that our good friend Elias Pettersson is off the power play one, which in a normal year, that would be big news. Considering that he has been awful, like he just hasn't been himself. I mean, the team hasn't been themselves. But the fact that he really just hasn't clicked yet this season, and it doesn't really matter what power play is out there. I mean, he's power play too, so it's not like they pulled him completely, but they're forcing the issue by trying to make fetch happen on number one, and it's not working. So power play two is basically like it's like the junior version of kind of what was on there, what was on there anyway on power play one. So it's almost like, well, one's different, but it's basically two. So you can call it what you want. It's like when Batch tweets out the lines. Like I tweet them in the order they come out. It's not like their first, second, and whatever. So it's it just bugs me. It just bugs me because we're talking about way too many things that are going wrong right now. And even going into this season, at least those things were okay. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
at least we knew they weren't great, but they weren't terrible. Like there's a baseline that they could work from, and now it seems like they've reinvented what that baseline is. Does that make sense?
Yep, it's fair. It's all fair. I mean, everything is like it's like you're living in Wonderland with this team right now. You just don't know anything. You go out and get a guy like Dickinson to help you PK. The PK shit. You go out and resign. You resign, Pettersson because you know that he's a trigger man on your power play. Can't play on the power play. You have one of the top scoring defensemen in the NHL in Quinn Hughes contributing on the power play and looks good out there. Power play sucks.
I mean, he looks good. He's 2 points back at first for defenseman.
Like you have a point hog in OEL out there that you trade for. Every defenseman that's ever come to this team other than Quinn Hughes can't put up points. Like, and if they put up points, we're not talking about like big points, like in the 40-point range, like these guys have been doing. I mean, the life got sucked out of, I can't remember his name. What's his face from Vegas? I mean, Nate Schmidt. I mean, that was
and he's back tonight.
That was a decent offensive output defenseman and has done nothing. It did nothing for Vancouver. I don't know what's the system or whatever, but the next closest guy to collecting points on this decor was probably Edler. Like,
Gone.
I'm getting too much time, Alex Edler, who I miss. But
yeah,
you know what I mean?
A nice new helmet.
Yeah. So I mean, everything is in upside down land with these guys. Like we're in the upside down now because anything that's supposed to be isn't, and anything that isn't helping.
Anything that is, it feels like you were just reciting like Alice in Wonderland or something like that.
Yeah, it feels like
whatever was is, and whatever isn't is.
Yeah, and then we have Tweedledee and Tweedledum running the show.
That's true. Let's get to a few of Joel's questions here. It says, sorry if I missed if you guys talked about it, my internet doesn't love me today. Join the club. What do you guys think of the structure of this team from the top to bottom? And then I'm going to just run through all three. Would having a president of hockey ops help this team out? And does this team need to be gutted? What do you think? Those are all like, that's a great kind of list of things because it you're basically running down kind of what will need to happen. So structure of the team from top to bottom, are you meaning like the actual roster, Joel, or like the team itself? Because I mean, I don't think the team, like if we were looking on paper, I think there was a chance this team was going to be, it was going to be better. It wasn't going to be great, but there had to have been improvement. Otherwise, like, they would have to get it, I think. Um, but yeah, having a president of hockey ops, absolutely. More people, like this is the kind of business like where if you can have more people um, at a management role in kind of structuring this team. It was just like when Gillis was here. They had a sleep, well, not a sleep doctor, but they had all these different things going on, right? Like they had all these people that were in charge of different things. They had their way to set guy. They had, they had a GM. They had a president. Like there's all these things so that everything didn't fall in one person's lap. Front office mostly. Okay.
It's
So
like is it like that scene in Christmas Vacation when like Mr. Shirley is walking through the hall or whatever, and he's got like 10 guys following him, like all his minions that do different things. And he's like, hey, Merry Christmas, kiss my ass, kiss his ass, kiss your own ass, go fuck yourself.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. But you know what? Like if you have people in those positions that are actually doing something, I mean, don't hire someone for the sake of hiring somebody. Learn that in retail. If you have people in the right spots, you're going to have a lot more people that are going to have input. And you might disagree with some of those, but that's where you get that structure from. That's when you start having educated conversations where you can say, no, actually, I've been seeing this happen. Good thing we're not doing this, or stop doing this because we're seeing that this is going a certain way. There needs to be structure, and there is a very loose structure right now.
It's a structure, and it's a applying process, and that's how smart businesses in today's age work. I mean, you have it's not one person that's calling the shots, and for good or for bad, you live by that, right? And I'm not
Yeah,
saying that the whole thing. Ultimately, there does need to be like a final decision maker,
yeah,
or to some extent, somebody holds more power than the other. But it really should be people who are in specialized roles because that's their area of strength, right?
sure.
What you consult all your best people before you come up with the plan, and other people hold at any point one of these persons can veto the thing if it needs to happen, right? So
Hmm.
you obviously have to have the right people working together to make that happen.
Yeah,
um and the Gillis thing I think did a really good job of that when he was in there, right? I mean, he really lent on guys like Gilman to help make and drive those big decisions, and scouting wasn't where it should be, and they pretty could have got more help to work on the scouting back in the day. But all in all, I think you have a better chance when you employ more smart people that have equal amounts of power, so that you work and make decisions together. and
right.
and maybe at some point in your team's history or during a team's run, you need to have that guy who's got the all in, or the nose, or the understanding to make the big gamble and the big play. But this team needs consistency.
They do.
This team needs some sort of a plan in place, needs some sort of a process to get them through where they're at,
Hmm.
because this current situation doesn't fit. So yeah, I would say to Joel that it does make sense to bring in a president of hockey ops, just to be in that role, and then somebody else to be in a different role.
Hmm. Yeah. So a little bit of everything.
Does this team need to be gutted? And if that's from the front office, then I wouldn't say no. The whole team needs to be gutted, because I think there's, from a front end point of view, I think there's probably some good places. I think you need to reevaluate everything for sure.
Hmm.
Um, as far as the team, the players that are on this roster, I don't know. I don't think this team is good enough. I think there's good pieces. I think there's some nice core pieces in there, but they've done a terrible job supporting those core players. Like, ask them to do so much right now, and I think Pedersen's a pretty good example of that. Guy's supposed to be the franchise right now, and he's not able to do it. And there needs to be players on this roster that can pick him up and help him. And this team has a weak bottom six, and this team has a weak bottom pairing D. And aside from that, even the teams that are on there, the players that are on the first two pairings, the way the coaching is set up obviously isn't helping those players either, other than Quinn. So something needs to change. And I think that there needs to probably be a fairly big gut. But again, the contracts that are on this roster, I don't know how we can make a big gut for this current roster.
So instead of gutting this team, do you think they could trim? You think they could do a little bit of trimming?
Of course they could trim, right?
Like trimming,
I think they could do a little bit of buzzing.
A little bit of buzzing. So like if you were going to be trimming your roster, would you maybe use like the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0? This thing, I'm not going to use it on my face because it's been on my nuts. But, it does the trick. Ho, 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 gentlemen. The holidays have come. They've come early. Hopefully not like yourself. This is the year for Manscaped. And have they got the gift for you? It keeps on trimming. Santa's beard isn't so appalling. And we're not talking about this one when it's coming out of your trousers. And that's why Manscaped, the leaders in below the belt, below the waist grooming, have you covered this holiday season. Are we talking about Thanksgiving? Are we talking about Christmas? We're talking about both because it doesn't matter. It's available in our country, which is Canada. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to keep their trees trimmed and the ornaments polished. Go to manscaped.com. Hold up. I got to do this right. Go to manscaped.com and enter the code PP20 for 20% off and free shipping. Free shipping! Nothing's free anymore, especially shipping. You know how much I spend on shipping, like on absolutely everything? Sending out summer skates, sending out, hockey cards, whatever. Everything, shipping. It's through the roof. It's ridiculous. I hate it. So if they're going to give you something free, you sign up for that action. Now, Ted, you got your little Manscaped kit a little bit ago.
Yeah, I got the 4.0. Prior to that, I had the 3.0 already. So this is actually my second go around with Manscaped. And I got to tell you, man, I'm like, it's important. It's an important piece. You got to be able to groom. I mean, I think the ladies think it's important. You got to be able to groom, right? I've been using this stuff for a while, and how you can customize your subscription in Manscaped is a big deal. You can have it arrive once every 3 months, once every 6 months, once a year if you like. You just have to make sure that you set up the way that you want it to be, and they'll make sure to send you replacement clipper heads. I mean, you're getting, you can get a foot deodorant, you can get a crop preserver. I mean, all this stuff that you can add to your bundle for a pretty cheap penny on the week, especially if you use the code PP20.
Okay, so here's the crop preserver. I wasn't using ball deodorant before this. I wasn't. You know what? If I run out of this stuff, I'm going to be flipping out. You have to use, it smells amazing. You can go up to your significant other and be like, smell my balls. They're amazing. Plus, I won't be chafing. So that's good. They've also got the boxers, super comfy. And they say Manscaped on there. People aren't going to see them, but you're going to know that it's on there. They're super comfy. You get a little travel bag. They've got, everything's there. You got the Crop Reviver. Exactly. The tool shed. The Crop Reviver. This stuff's dangerous. And I don't mean that in an actual dangerous sense.
Good enough to be dangerous.
You put it on. Just don't. How do I say this nicely? It gets the job done maybe before you want the job to be done, if you know what I mean. So use that stuff wisely. It does keep things nice and smelly nice. And maybe give it a test run before, so you know what you're up against. Because it gets you to a place where you'd like to be. Maybe not. If you're doing it right before work, probably not the best time to put that on. So
I can tell you right now that the stuff works, and from experience over the years, it's worth it. It's really good stuff.
So I mean, we're talking about.
It has my genuine endorsement.
There you go. I will say, being a new user for Manscaped is it does the trick. It does the trim. Don't be stupid about it. Don't be trying to hey, I wonder if I can shave up my butt or something don't be stupid. Use what it's made for. Clip around, trim around. It's got a couple different attachments you can have on there. Don't be stupid. Now, the nice thing is, when I first heard like an ad read back in the day, by the way, PP20, get 20% off free shipping. When I first heard these ads back in the day, like from other podcasts, they're talking about, oh, it's got a light so you can see in the dark and da-da. You know what? That light is awesome, even when there's light on. You know what I mean? You can actually see, like, maybe you find out you do have an ingrown hair or something like that. You don't know, but it gets in places where you probably can't be sticking a flashlight down there. Like it helps you out. Manscaped helps you out. So I'm just saying, they helped us, so we want to help you guys. Make sure you get on there. PP20. I will be posting out. We'll probably do like a little quick ad read on like Twitter or Instagram or something like that to make sure that you guys know what's going on for next week. They gave me some cool graphics. Like, check out this stuff. Check out this stuff. So they got the performance package. You get the nose trimmer, you get the reviver, you get the ball deodorant, you get the absolute lawnmower. For they've got, here's the little package. You see all that. Your balls will thank you. I promise you guys. And look at this. Like, if that doesn't scream professional, I don't know what does. So anyway, Manscaped, I love you now. You're part of my life. Thank you for partnering up with us, because quite frankly, I know, like, my wife's happy, which means I'm happy. Take it from us. We know what we're talking about. Manscaped. Below the belt trimming. What's up? I'll get back to the Canucks. That was a lot of fun. If that wasn't a live ad read, I don't know what is. That was good.
That was the realest.
Yeah. Also, like I said, don't put it near your face, because we don't need that. So anyway, what was Joel talking about? He had some stuff. OEL marginally hit. Really, he was the only true top pairing D-man. I mean, really, I guess what's changed? What's changed? If it's still
nothing.
just Quinn Hughes, that's not good. I mean, you brought it up at the top of your show, Tucker Pullman. Obviously, he's an outlier.
It's Quinn, right? It's Quinn, and then there's a bunch of guys, and guys doesn't always mean bad. It just means average. I think OEL has the potential to be more than just a contributor on this decor. I think he can be a guy to log big minutes, but obviously his full potential is not being utilized right now. We're not seeing the puck possession fiend that he was in years past. That's not there. It's not showing up.
Yeah.
And prior to him, the only other good D-man that was on this roster probably was Edler, and Edler was misused and overused in many different spots. And when he started to be picked apart a little bit. But I mean, Myers is still there. That's still a guy that we're paying like a number one D-man and doesn't perform like one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joel brings up other names. We're looking at Pullman and Hamonic, and I mean, what really do those guys do? We're talking about guys like Luke Shen probably having to factor into this lineup on a regular basis. Like, this is a real issue.
Yeah, that we're mad he's not on the roster right now.
And this is not a. I mean, this is not a very good decor. It's paid like a good decor. It's paid like a really, like, handsomely, like a very good decor.
Mm-hmm.
But the talent, it'd be completely different if these guys are being paid what they're worth, and we'd be looking at this decor. Yeah, it could get better. They don't make a whole lot. It's
like the Sutter signing, right? It's like the Sutter signing. Oh, it's $1 million. That's what he's worth. Thank you. Yeah, Burrow's top 4 in Vegas. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, and that's just miscast, right? I don't hate on the Burrows thing, because Burrows is being paid what he's worth, right? He's a depth defenseman. He's being paid like a depth defenseman. But Hamonic is a depth defenseman being paid way too much.
Yep.
Myers being paid too much for the role that he's being asked to play. Myers would be he would be decent to have if you had really somebody on their roster that could just take care of their own end, and let Myers roam instead of Myers be the one. But then I don't even like that, because I don't understand the point of having a specific defensive defenseman on your team. I would prefer to have guys that can play both ends of the ice at all time.
You're not in the league where,
because if your game is, you're exactly, because if your game is that uneven, then why are you making the kind of money that you're making?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If you're, why they wouldn't pay you at your job to do just, I mean, maybe they do, to do just one thing. Like, hey, Ted, we just need you to do data entry, not sales and not everything else. But we're going to pay you like you do all those things. Well, that's great for you. That's great for you, not for anybody else. Like, that doesn't help.
Yeah.
It's just backwards. And now I kind of want to start something a little bit different here. You know how I don't know if you've been following the Twitters or what's been going on at the beginning of the week. They're basically saying the next 3 games were going to dictate what was going to happen, right? I'm sure you heard something of that ilk, right?
I did, but again, I don't know if I can believe it because do you remember us having this conversation last year before Benning had his pressure about the team sucking shit?
Yeah. Now, what I'm getting to is, so things are bad, right? Let's bring this to a different type of relationship. You're heading towards a breakup, a divorce, whatever, right? Like things are clearly bad. Nothing's working. You guys don't get along. There's nothing productive going on, right? You don't say, well, let's give it to the weekend. Maybe things will change. No, it's over.
No.
It's broken already. You can't just fix it overnight and expect like by Monday morning maybe things will be okay.
Uh,
It doesn't work that way.
yeah, I'll go back to the Browns and OBJ. He was hurt. He came back. He was healthy. Didn't work. He got hurt again. He came back healthy. Didn't work. Cut bait. It's not working. You don't want to be here. We don't need you. Even when we're playing together, it's not working. They're still bad without him, but it's not working. So please just leave it alone. Like know when to fold him, a la Kenny Rogers. Just make it
Mm-hmm.
happen.
They just cut bait. You know what? It's not working out for us. It's not working out for you. Everybody move on. Hey, you might do well in your next stop. Great, but it's not
Sure,
working
fine.
here, and we're not going to keep paying you.
It's just square peg, round hole.
Yeah.
There's probably lots of other round holes you could find. We're looking for square ones, please.
Just type that into the Google box, see what I can find. There's not a lot of square holes going on.
Hmm.
Yeah, this team. I mean, I miss the Canucks that we all miss, right? I miss.
I missed the Canucks from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That plucky bunch that was given her. You know what I mean? Stiff. That doesn't look like this team.
No. Like it's so disheartening because there was a team that we all I mean a lot of us our age group we fell in love with the early 90s team and obviously that transitioned into some of the most awful years but then transitioned into the Sedins into the West Coast Express into a Stanley Cup a perennial contender and then they couldn't turn it around quick enough and then it's like and it just completely tanked. And they've been trying to play catch up for 8 years.
Yeah.
They've had
Good
a few
question
bright
here.
spots. They've had few bright spots, but they've been playing catch up. What do we got here? I'm going to publicize this one so that you can read it because I'm tired.
How many teams can we think of that have taken this exact method? How many GMs get this sort of run of mediocrity, overpromise and underperform?
And still have a job 8 years of it.
The
Like
the
look how
answer
bad
is
Chicago was.
yeah. The answer is none. I mean, I think we can go back. You look at those old Boston teams with like maybe when those old Chicago teams with like with Wirtz running them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or some of those old Boston teams, nobody could make any more money than Ray Bork, right? And then so people would leave. Good players would leave because Ray Bork was taking a pay cut and they couldn't have anybody else on this roster to make more than the great Ray Bork. It's mediocrity. Why? Yeah, this is what I don't understand about hockey and sometimes sports in general. Nobody is acceptable with this level of failure in any walk of life, in any job. But when it comes to hockey, people will live and die by what's currently in house because you feel like you're not a fan or you got to defend what's there. If it's not good, it's not good, people. This is not good. So if you're still on the wagon, great. I applaud your dedication. But anybody who's off the wagon and wants this team to make changes to impart success, then I mean you have to be okay with that as well. The answer is none. Nobody else.
Well put. Well put. I don't know. It is. It's frustrating. We're not the only ones saying this, but there needs to be some kind of a change and start the ball rolling. I don't care how small or whatever it is. I mean, I talked about this last night on Speakeasy. You know what's an easy thing to do right now? You know what's an easy thing to do? Buy yourself a little bit of time, and it's totally superficial. skate jersey. Start there. It doesn't even have to be the full-time one. Doesn't even have to be the full-time one. It can be your alternate or your second alternate. That's all it has to be. Just buy yourself some superficial time, because I'm dead serious. These are the stupid things that we will pine over. Like, you know what, guys? Because this would be the time to do it. We're bringing back the skate jersey, and we're not just going to bring it back for a few games. We're going to bring it back as our second alternate, and you guys are going to see this 9 times for the rest of the year, or 10, whatever.
They're gonna go full Pittsburgh Penguins and go back to the yellow and leave the gold. And
But it's not. I mean, we all want it. All of us want it. But it's one of those make the skate full time. Oh, I agree. I mean, it should be, but I'm saying that's not going to happen. So what I'm saying is, you buy yourself some time with this, because
it would appease a lot of people. You're right.
it's stupid, because we're that simple. You give us just that little carrot, and a lot of people, like, yeah, the smart ones, will be like, yeah, I see what you're doing. Exactly. We are doing it because we need to buy some time.
When you do stuff like that too, it's weird. It's this mental thing, right? It's sort of just like it puts into place that washing of the hands almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're away from what was and you're in what is.
Yep. It's you're speaking in tongues today, Alice, eh?
It's funny, but it might work, man. I don't know.
Like, it's
you never had jersey change could turn this team around.
I'm not saying it's going to turn around, but
no, hey, I like the idea. I'm laughing at it, but I like the idea.
It buys you some time.
And even if they were shit now for the rest of the season, at least it would look good doing it. I mean, not that they don't look good in the current jersey, but you know what I'm saying.
It's just like, it's one of those things that it has nothing to do with free skate or whatever. But you know what? You did bring it back, and you made it part of your rotation for at least that season, the 50th for sure, and then you kind of snuck it in a few other times. You can make this work, and it's one of those things. Now you inject a little bit more into the retail sales. Yeah. You can do a little bit more marketing. Trust me, I get this. I know how the sell works.
Bro, can you believe we just got shit stomped by the Avs 7-1 again? Yeah, but did you see those jerseys?
We're pathetic that way. We are. So you do that. That's your first thing. That probably buys you, and I hate to say this probably buys you a month or two. Now you've got some time you got some time to move around. And it's, again, I went to school for marketing, took 4 years to get it.
Could you imagine if Benning rolled up in his press was like, we're changing the jerseys, we're going back skate logo full time, let's go! Everybody would be so stoked.
Yeah. Like, it would work.
Gotta look good for your funeral, right?
Yeah, what's that? Oh, that's mahogany. Well, he's already dead. What does it matter? Like, you got to look good when you're dead.
Look good, feel good.
Exactly. Anyway, I think we're done here. 2 of us. We got lives. Plus, the hockey game's about to start, and I need to cry a little bit before I go to sleep tonight. So, make sure you guys check out, like I said, get back on that Manscaped action. We gave them a solid 5 minutes of promotion, but you know what? Go to manscaped.com. PP20. The PP is taking care of your PP, is what I'm trying to tell you. And, I mean, it's so clever. It really is. We're smart that way. And, hopefully the Canucks figure something out. I do think Travis Green's on his way out after this weekend. It's going to be a rough road trip coming up too, but, change is coming. Change is coming. It is. Ted, any final words? Do you have any final words?
No, I'm just ready for change.
Okay.
Ready for a change.
Okay. I'm up for that as well. This has been a fun episode. It's like, the more frustrating this team is, the more I laugh. So maybe keep sucking, Canucks. Just keep sucking. This is entertaining for everybody, clearly. Joel had a great time. I know Joel had a great time. So on behalf of Ted, and I'm Ryan, and if I say...
And Joel.
And if I say Tucker Pullman, you would say...
My man!
Yeah, he did. It's a PP1 Podcast.